the Romans. An ancient people who over several centuries forged one of the greatest empires the world has ever known, at its height ruling over a quarter of the people on the planet, with dominion over land stretching from the flooded plains of the Nile Delta to the rugged hills of northern England. And it is in this top left-hand corner of the empire that I've chosen to explore. Hello, my name is Rob, and I'm an actor by trade, but I'm also a Roman history enthusiast, so to stop myself from going mad, I thought I'd subject you all to my passion for it. Sorry. Now, I've loved Romans all my life, and since I live in the UK, I thought it appropriate to have a channel that has a specific focus on Romans in Britain. But before I delve into more specific subjects about Romans in Britain, it's probably a good idea if I give an overview, as best as I can anyway, about the nearly 400 years of influence that the Romans had on the island of Britain. The formal occupation of Britain by the Romans didn't start until 43 AD, but before I get too far ahead of myself, I would be a bit silly if I didn't mention one Gaius Julius Caesar, who in 55 and 54 BC, nearly 100 years before the Romans would ultimately lay claim to the Isles, invaded Britain twice during the Gallic Wars. Now, I'll be covering Caesar's invasions in a bit more detail in separate videos, but suffice to say, he didn't really achieve very much, beyond getting some tribute from defeated tribes. This was all to change though in the following century under the rule of Emperor Claudius, who in 43 AD ordered a full-scale invasion of the island, mustering up the full power of 4 legions and their accompanying auxiliary units, some 40,000 men. The result of this invasion was that the Roman-controlled areas were formally annexed into the Roman province of Britannia. Over the following years, the Romans consolidated their power over the island, travelling further and further north, until Emperor Trajan decided that the Roman frontier would best be suited between modern-day Newcastle and modern-day Carlisle. His successor, Emperor Hadrian, decided to solidify this border with a great big wall in 122 AD. Now, it's not like the tribes of ancient Britain just allowed themselves to be subjugated. Most of you will probably have heard of a certain Boudicca, who in 60 AD gave the Romans a bloody nose by revolting and burning to the ground the cities of Colchester, London and St Albans, before being defeated at the Battle of Watling Street. But hers is not the only example of revolting, as cities like Lincoln and York, for example, they owe their existence to the Romans having to build them to stamp out unrest in the north of England, only some 10 years later. Now, Roman Britain isn't all about fighting and fortification building. There's evidence of civilised Roman life all across Britain, from the villas of Chedworth and Fishbourne to the Roman amphitheatre at Chester, or the Roman baths at Bath. These places are great examples of how the Romans influenced the local population, and exploring the lives of the people who used these ancient buildings can be just as exciting as any military campaign. Despite incursions from those living north of Hadrian's Wall, revolts in Roman-controlled areas, and invasions from Angles, Jutes and Saxons, the Romans endured in Britain for nearly 400 years, finally leaving in 410 AD, only 66 years before the Western Empire fell. In that time, the Romans introduced to Britain new towns, thousands of miles of road, centralised government, new foods, new languages, new medicines, over 50 different types of plants, new animals, sewage systems, central heating, Roman coinage, traditional Roman gods, and Christianity. The Roman impact on Britain is substantial, and it's this corner of the empire that I hope you'll join me in exploring.